Hello folks, Papa D coming at you from David Liver Space. Just wanted to bring you up to date on the most recent launch. We had intended on trying to shoot a live launch out from the Orlando area. I was up there with the rig, and unfortunately with the cloud cover, it did not go well. The quality of the launch footage was not very good, but I do have all the footage that we ran from the SpaceX feed, which I'm going to bring over to you so y'all have a chance to see it. Again, that was a launch about an hour and a half ago. That was U.S. Space Force USSF 124. That it was a classified payload consisting of 6 satellites, 2 of which are hypersonic and ballistic tracking sensor satellites, and 4 were SDA tracking and layered trench and tracking layer sats. Say that 10 times fast. But these were 6 total satellites, 4 of which were supposed to fly earlier and were taken off that launch's manifest for technical reasons and added to this launch. The launch came from Kennedy Space Center, the Space Force Base, and landing zone for the Falcon 9 first stage was LZ-1. Again, it's total 6 satellites and being placed into orbit. And what happens in this case on a classified mission like this, or a mission where the owner does not want televised coverage, what they will do is request of SpaceX, and that's always honored, that the footage will stop usually at SECO, after SECO stage separation, and they'll usually show the stage 1 recovery. But as far as of course, the release of the second stage, fairing deploy, anything like that, that's all classified. So that's where the footage will stop. So I'm going to cue this up for you, and just to let you know also, appreciate all the new subscribers. I've had a boatload of people come through, and I really do appreciate all your support. Looking to put as much of current footage and current launches out there for y'all, and excited to have the opportunity. But thank you to the new subscribers. If you're not yet a subscriber and you are so inclined, please feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You can hit that bell, and that will let you know when I have any new footage or live events coming up. And as a matter of fact, tonight will be a busy night. After this, I have 2 live events coming up. One was actually pushed back. I think the T0 on that is just after 9 o'clock, 9:30. And that's going to be the SpaceX Falcon 9 that is carrying, I wanted to see how many that was. I believe it was 23 Starlinks. And that's a Vandenberg launch. So that'll be coming up about 9:30 or so Eastern time. I'll go live with that a little bit earlier than that, of course, about quarter after or so, depending on whether or not it gets delayed. And with Vandenberg launches, those things tend to get pushed over and over again. But as soon as that does hit live, we will carry that live to you. And then if you're all awake at roughly 5 after 1 Eastern, that's the big launch of the night. And that is going to be the Falcon 9 Block 5 that's going to carry the Nova C, which is the Intuitive Machines NASA lunar lander. And there's a number, I believe 6 total packages on that, but the mission itself will be landing on the moon. It's the second attempt under the NASA moon cargo program. So we're going to hope that under this NASA CLIPS program that this lander will be money and will make it to the moon and get a lot of good science done. So that's for tonight. After this, we'll go on hold. We've got everything scheduled for these next 2 lives. And like I said, if you're up and around at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12-ish Central, that will be hopefully when the Nova C mission takes off. That was also scheduled for last night, and there's a snapshot, so there's no window on this. If it doesn't go up, we know it's over for the night. And that's what happened last night. I think it was about 20 minutes before we got word that it had been delayed due to cryogenic fuel issues, and SpaceX pulled the plug on it. No pun intended. So anyway, let me run this through for you. We'll get back to what we started out with, which was the Space Force classified mission, and we will start. There we go. Roll that for you now. Enjoy. Thanks again, folks. And thank you to SpaceX for rolling the footage.
Nice launch trajectory countdown net. Pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
You're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 awaiting liftoff at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time from the Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Welcome to our live webcast of the USSF 124 mission on behalf of the United States Space Force and their partners. My name is Yo Mezo, and I'm a propulsion engineer here at SpaceX. I'm excited to be here with you today, bringing you coverage of our 13th launch this year, and the first of what could be a triple header with a Starlink launch set to lift off in just over 2 hours from now, and the Intuitive Machines 1 mission headed for the moon at 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday morning. You can see live views from both of those pads there on your screen now. Today's USSF 124 mission is a collaboration between the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, the MDA, and the United States Space Force Space Development Agency, or the SDA. On their behalf, SpaceX will be delivering 2 prototype satellites to orbit as part of the Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor Program. When fully operational, the system will detect hypersonic, ballistic, and other advanced threats earlier than terrestrial radars, providing hypersonic threat tracking data to hand over to the U.S. Ballistic Missile Defense System. Now, in addition to the MDA payload, SpaceX will also deliver the final 4 Tranche 0 tracking layer satellites as part of its proliferated warfighter space architecture. But for now, here's a closer look at MDA's payload for today.
In the fall of 2009, a Delta II rocket launched off Florida's east coast carrying 2 Missile Defense Agency Space Tracking and Surveillance System, or STSS demonstration satellites. Designed to last 4 years, the STSS satellites operated for over 12 years. demonstrating birth-to-death ballistic missile tracking and missile defense system fire control quality data as a testbed to study new ways to improve ballistic missile tracking from space. Today, STSS data informs the development of future missile defense sensor capabilities, such as those on board the Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor, or HBTSS. How do ballistic missiles differ from hypersonic missile threats? Ballistic missiles fly a predictable path and spend most of the time in space. Hypersonic glide vehicles, or HGVs, which can fly in excess of 3,800 miles per hour, can change direction and altitude and vary their speed in flight within the atmosphere, posing a severe challenge to today's missile defense system. Powerful radars on Earth can view in-flight objects only as far as the horizon allows, and only within specific corridors. A global constellation of HBTSS tracking satellites will ensure continuous access to missile threats from launch to re-entry, while providing fire control tracking to the missile defense system. Since tracking satellites offer a global presence and persistence, they can augment Earth-based radars and fill viewing gaps to provide coverage from missile launch to termination of flight. The two HBTSS prototype space vehicles will work in tandem with radars based on land and at sea, and recently deployed Space Force tracking satellites to demonstrate and study how they can track hypersonic threats and provide targeting data for intercept. This demonstration will inform the future Proliferated Warfighter Space Architecture, PWSA, for the Missile Warning, Tracking, Defense mission. Following these successful demonstrations, HBTSS will be part of a critical constellation of space sensors proliferated and operated by the Space Force. It will provide increased capability to track, target, and intercept hypersonic threats. As missile threats evolve, the Missile Defense Agency will continue leading efforts to improve the nation's defense capabilities.
Here at just under T-minus 12 minutes, the payload is healthy and all systems are a go for an on-time liftoff this evening. Weather and range are also green for today's T0. For now, let's take a closer look at the rocket on your screen. Now, Falcon 9 is a two-stage rocket and the first orbital class rocket capable of reflight. Since first taking flight in 2010, our Falcon 9 rocket has made 296 flights and delivered all sorts of payloads to orbit. The first stage, which is the tallest portion of the vehicle, provides 1.7 million pounds of thrust thanks to its 9 Merlin M1D engines. Today is the 7th flight of the booster you see currently on the pad, and this Falcon 9 was first launched almost 1 year ago in March of 2023 on the Crew 6 mission for NASA. This will be the 8th National Security Space Launch, or NSSL, of a SpaceX Falcon 9 since December of 2018, and the second NSSL launch under the Phase 2 contract awarded by Space Systems Command in 2020. Now, the 9 engines you see on the Falcon 9 are shown on the screen there, and the Falcon 9 is actually named after the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, and that number 9 is for the 9 Merlin engines that you see on the screen of the first stage. But there are actually 10 engines on the rocket as a whole. The second stage has a slightly modified engine on it called the Merlin Vacuum, or MVAC engine. Now, this engine has a larger diameter nozzle, which allows the second stage to be better adapted to perform in the vacuum of space. The first stage gets us out of the Earth's atmosphere and into space, while the second stage takes the payload to its targeted drop-off orbit. Now, the large barrel structure with the pointed nose at the top of the second stage is the payload fairing, and it's composed of 2 halves made of carbon composite material that come together to protect the payload until we're in the vacuum of space. Now, here at T-minus 9 minutes and 38 seconds, the SpaceX team continues to count down towards our 13th launch this year. All systems are a go. And before we began the webcast, the SpaceX launch director pulled the members of the launch team and got a go for propellant loading and launch. So we are currently already loading propellant on the Falcon 9 first stage booster, as well as the second stage. The payloads continue to be healthy, and Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Currently, the weather is green and the range is ready to support a T0 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, we have a greater than 95% probability of launch based on weather, but if for some reason we don't launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time. Now, if you are just joining us, today's mission is a collaboration between Space Systems Command, or the SSC, the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, and the U.S. Space Force's Space Development Agency. As part of this mission, SpaceX is delivering 2 prototype satellites to orbit as part of MDA's Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor program, in addition to the final 4 SDA Tranche 0 tracking layer satellites as part of its proliferated warfighter space architecture. Now, the SSC is the U.S. Space Force's field command responsible for acquiring and delivering resilient capabilities and groundbreaking technologies to protect our nation's strategic advantage in and from space. For more on the SSC, let's take a listen.
The ultimate high ground has no ground. The satellites in orbit around our planet provide the critical infrastructure we use to defend and protect the security and prosperity of this world we all share. But space is no longer a benign environment. Adversaries and near-peer nations are actively working to dominate the most critical battleground of our day. At Space Systems Command, the time to act is now. The race is on.
Our adversary is out there. They are going to work every day, trying to work harder, smarter, faster than us. But we are making sure that that does not happen.
The Guardians, airmen, and partners of Space Systems Command are working with unstoppable urgency to innovate and act now, delivering solutions to emerging threats, creating resilient space architectures we can all rely on, especially during times of crisis and conflict.
The fight could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen in a couple of years, but we need to start innovating now, and that's exactly what we're doing.
For Space Systems Command, working faster means breaking from the status quo, exploiting existing space architectures and capabilities in creative new ways, working with commercial industry, innovators and tech startups, and allied nations to exploit, buy, and build, to deliver better, faster, and more affordably.
We are advancing the space architecture that we have up there right now, making sure that it's optimal, making sure that we get new space architecture set up, prototyping, experiments, to ensure that we can outpace the enemy tomorrow.
To maintain our lead in space, Space Systems Command has embraced a new culture, empowering its people to race forward, speak up, and connect with industry in unprecedented new ways.
Our people are agile, they continue our partnerships, they are working collaboratively day after day in order to contribute to the big warfighter purpose.
Space is a team sport. We have to work together to provide integrated, resilient capability at speed in order to fight through any contingency or crisis.
Space Systems Command is moving fast to maintain U.S. superiority in space, running a marathon of sprints, thinking differently, acting boldly, empowering at every level to make space work for us all. At Space Systems Command, space starts here.
Here at T-minus 4 minutes and 40 seconds, all systems are currently a go for an on-time liftoff. Up next, the truss structure next to the vehicle, known as the strongback, will start to retract.
Strongback retract has started.
There, you heard that call out for strongback retraction. Now you'll slowly see the clamp arms just below the fairing begin to open. And once the clamp arms are fully open, the strongback will begin to recline. And shortly after that, the strongback will fully recline in preparation for launch.
Stage 1 RP load complete.
There you heard the call out. The stage 1 propellant loading is complete, and we are still loading stage 2. Again, the vehicle is nearly fully loaded with propellant and will complete in a couple minutes here at the T-minus 2 minute mark. The range is green and ready to support. Weather is looking great with more than a 95% chance of a go. You can see the clear skies on your screen. And if for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time. Now, additionally, it's worth noting that at the request of our customer, we will not be showing views of the payload, so we will be ending the webcast just after the Falcon 9 booster makes its way back down to land around the T+8 minute mark into flight. And we finished the stage 1 RP1 load, should be getting the LOX load call out here shortly.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
There is that call out for stage 1 LOX loading complete, and we are just wrapping up stage 2 loading as well, and we should get that call out at the T-minus 2 minute mark. Again, you are looking at live views from Falcon 9 on Launch Pad 40 in Cape Canaveral, preparing for our USSF 124 mission. We are finishing up loading propellant and liquid oxygen onto the Falcon 9 first and second stages. We should be wrapping up.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
There it is. That is the call out. We have finished loading propellant and liquid oxygen onto our Falcon 9. We're under 2 minutes to launch here. And again, you can see the condensation of that really cold liquid oxygen condensing with the humid air of Florida, and that venting that you see on the side is normal and expected. That is from the transporter erector liquid oxygen line. Now the next milestone will be at T-minus 1 minute, where the Falcon 9 internal flight computers will take over the count. Shortly afterwards, the launch director will give the go for launch, and Falcon 9 will be ready for launch.
Okay, folks, getting ready for launch here. Under a minute at the 1 minute mark.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Spacecraft will go into startup as they've said. It means everything is run internal to the ship. Aside from a ground stop,
this is the mission
it is
director.
in complete control of the launch at this point.
There is that final mission director go. All systems are go for a launch of Falcon 9 and USSF 124.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go Falcon, go 124. Vehicles pitching downrange. At 1D, chamber pressure is nominal.
Alright folks, we do have liftoff. Good solid liftoff.
Successful liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Love is in the air today, and now Falcon 9 is too. Our next milestone is at the T+1 minute and 12 mark, which will be max
Power
Q.
telemetry nominal.
And max Q is the moment of peak mechanical stress on the rocket. Great views of Falcon 9 there.
Mach 1.
We're coming up on max Q in just a few seconds.
Beautiful launch. All 4 Falcon 9
Max
engines
Q.
are running
There was
smooth,
max Q,
straight.
and you could see the really cool
Made it
view
through
of
max
Falcon
Q.
going supersonic. You could see that little sonic boom in the live views there. And coming up in just about a minute here are
And that engine chill has started.
4 events in rapid succession. So the first will be main engine cutoff, and this is where all 9 of the Falcon first stage M1D engines will shut off in preparation for stage separation, which is when the first and second stages will separate, followed by second engine startup, which is when that Merlin vacuum engine of the second stage will start up to boost the payload to low Earth orbit. And then the last event is the boost back burn, where the Falcon 9 first stage will ignite to orient itself to head back to land. Now you can see these events will start in just about 10 seconds here with main engine cutoff.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
And back startup.
Stage 1
And you do have a good stage separation. You're looking
There you
up
saw
through the
and
first
heard the
stage,
confirmation
at the second
of
stage,
a successful main engine cutoff,
continuing
stage
its portion of the
separation,
mission.
second engine start, and boost back burn start. You can see great views from the Falcon first stage. The grid fins will be deploying here shortly. And coming up is fairing deployment as well. And as a reminder, we won't see any live views from the second stage today, so we won't see the fairings deploy, but we will get confirmation of their deployment.
And we may see the fairings as they head back down
Fairing
towards
separation confirmed.
We'll keep
There
our
you
eyes
heard
open
that
for
call
that.
out for successful fairing deployment. Now, coming up next is the end of the boost back burn, which will be happening in just under 10 seconds here.
And those fairings save SpaceX about $3 million apiece
Stage 1 boost
as
back
they are
shutdown.
recovered and reused.
There
I
you
haven't
heard
seen
that
them go by
confirmation
yet.
of the shutdown of the boost back burn. That is a good burn of the first stage. Again, you are watching a live webcast for USSF 124, a collaboration.
Are on nominal trajectories.
A collaboration
grid
between
fins.
the Space Systems Command, the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, and the U.S. Space Forces Space Development Agency, delivering 2 prototype satellites to orbit as part of the...
And as the first stage comes back down towards Earth, those grid fins will be responsible for steering it back down to landing zone 1. They will not be able to take a full bite and do any good until the booster gets into the thicker part of the atmosphere. And once that takes place, they will be responsible, along with the cold gas thrusters, in bringing stage 1 in line with its final landing at LZ1. You will see at one point, possibly, those heat up during the day. It's a little bit tougher, but those grid fins will glow as they hit the thickness of the atmosphere and begin taking some of the heat and some of the responsibility for steering.
Now, both of these burns are meant to slow the booster down rapidly before landing. And if we do have a successful landing today, it will mark the 272nd landing of an orbital class rocket. Now, in order to make its way back down to land for orbit, Falcon 9 does have 2 more burns to execute. We already performed our boost back burn, so coming up next is the entry burn in just about a minute. And this is where 3 of the Merlin engines of the first stage will reignite, and this will help slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. And then the third and last burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land back on Earth.